Hey folks, Quilly here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Rimworld! We are on Alpha 16, and one of the things that was added in Alpha 16 is a new biome called the Ice Sheet, Sea Ice, Frozen Sea? Maybe Frozen Sea, I don't remember the name of the biome, but it's basically literally just ice. Nothing to mine, no trees, no fertile ground, very little wildlife, if any, actually. I'm not sure if any wildlife shows up at all. It is absolutely brutal, unforgiving, almost unfathomably difficult to manage, and we're going to be trying that today as a challenge. I do have a series of mods loaded in. It's very similar to the normal mods I have. Almost all of them are user interface tweaks, or maybe a few things that add a few different, like, kind of buildable types things. Very few things that change gameplay outright. I will let you pause the screen here and look at the names. All of these can be found on the Steam Workshop. I'm just going to scroll down a bit because I've got a few more over here. So, these are normal mods that I tend to play with a couple of tweaks here and there maybe, and it won't radically change the base experience for us, but I do really enjoy playing with them. So we're going to be starting a new colony, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the Rich Explorer start over here. This is a single person that starts relatively wealthy. I think they're on Glimmerworld tech so that some things can be researched a tiny bit faster, but it's only a few things here and there. We actually start with the gun turret tech right away, which is nice. Ish. The problem is, again, where we're going to start was going to have zero mineability. So, getting more steel, no. Getting more components from mining compacted machinery, no. We might get crashed chips at some point, but I don't expect it'll be very often. And certainly no trees for us to chop down. Now, I've tried this start as a test here, and we have just slightly too little, really, I think, to get everything going. The idea is to try to get a base going, up to the point where you can trade, and then you can start to get certain things in and out, and it feels like there's just slightly too little here to survive on the frozen sea. So what we're going to do is we are going to go, and I'm going to double the starting steel and wood, and I suppose maybe components over here. It's still going to be extremely tough, but we're going to do that. I could do this in the scenario editor, but I'm going to actually wait a tiny bit, because I also have to prepare carefully. I'm going to start in extreme difficulty. So extreme difficulty, frozen sea biome. It's going to be fine. So we've got our seed there. I'm going to just bring up the world size slightly bigger. Oh, I'll bring the temperature down. It'll actually give us a little bit more frozen sea to work with. So I'm going to start that. Could do 100% world. Doesn't matter much. I don't think this is going to be... Well, I mean, oh, that's interesting. So let's assume that the scenario, right, the whole thing with the lone, whatever this is called, the single person start from the rich explorer start, right, is he wanted to have an adventure on another planet, and so he ships himself off to into space to land on some godforsaken Rimworld so that he can go and play adventurer. But I think that landing on the ice sheet was probably a little bit more than he bargained for. So maybe what we'll do is see if we can trade ourselves up to a pack animal and then move at some point. That would actually be quite cool. So here we can see sea ice over here. Permanent ice sheets floating on water. No soil, no plants, no minerals to mine. Very few animals. Travel is very slow due to deep snow and crevasses. There is a village nearby. There's going to be Utopia's Cliff over here, and another one over here, Time Town. Very nice. Oh, they're part of the same faction as well, so we'll probably want to be relatively friendly with them. Love's Ridge over here. I think the color doesn't represent enemy. I think they're just all color-coded based on faction. Yeah, that is the case. So quite a few villages over here. Pirate bases are a little further away, which is interesting. We'll have to decide if we were going to be raiding these guys or just trading with them or what. So even if after leaving the sea ice biome, then we could hit the ice sheet biome, which isn't very friendly either, but it's technically possible. Then we go into tundra, which isn't very friendly. We've got a long way to go if ever we're going to get something a little bit more friendly to move to, which will be interesting. So we're going to start right over here on the sea ice location. We could actually go with a smaller map size, because honestly we don't need much of a map, but I'll leave everything on as the defaults anyway. And we're going to go next. So... we need someone who's relatively competent, right? Because this is going to be a relatively solo person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomize a few times, but we'll probably tune them slightly in prepare carefully. So I'm just going to randomize to get someone relatively competent. That's actually not bad at all. They're not incapable of anything, which is nice. Steadfast is really handy because it lowers your mental break threshold, and that's going to be incredibly important for us. A little passion for growing, which is good. Right now, at a 4, he can't grow everything. She can't grow everything, but can grow like a decent amount of stuff, and will quickly gain enough experience to be able to unlock everything. You need what, 6 for heal root? I think you might need a 7 or an 8 for some things as well, but she'll get there pretty quick. The shooting passion is actually going to be pretty damn handy because we may need to defend ourselves. We are going to start with a decent gun. Only 18 years old, so hopefully no health issues come up. If we ever want to start recruiting people, we may want to hire social, but the game is actually going to try to get us up to, is it 3 people or it might be 4, by giving us some free people along the way. So our colony will grow relatively quickly. We might decide to only have Ali over here. Actually, we'll have to name this person after a subscriber, which I will do soon. We will potentially have this person. Imagine this person packs up and leaves. So we leave the old base behind, and we just move her again and again. I wonder if it keeps your research. It must keep your research. That might be kind of an interesting way to go. Speaking of research, though, the research of 0 is pretty bad. The crafting of 4 is okay, but might be a bit of a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to prepare carefully. And I don't want to min-max everything, but I think we have to be practical here. I mean, you could go and crank everything up to 20, like right from the start. I'm not going to do that. I am going to go and turn on actually a high level of passion for research. Now, going from low to 1 level of passion is the most important, because with no passion, you only learn at 30% of the normal rate. Whereas with 1 point of passion, you learn at 100% of the normal rate. With 2 points, you go to 150%. The second point's not quite as critical, though it's still handy, but we'll get that on for crafting. I'm going to get on for growing as well, because it's going to be very, very, very important to do that. Maybe I'll leave the social at 0. But we're going to go and crank that up as well, so at least you will learn it at some point. I think everything else is okay. This means we can't cook any fine meals, but at least we won't poison ourselves. I'm actually wondering, like, what if we started... Ooh, that's interesting. Hang on, this is what we're doing. I'm going to set everything to start at 0, but turn on max passion for everything. I love it. We have no skills whatsoever. Again, there'll be a description. We grew up like... why? Oh, because Apocalypse Survivor gives us +4. Okay, well, that'll be fine. You know, we grew up in this really, like, hedonistic world where, like, things are crazy. There's a description of, like, parties and things like that. So we never learn anything. But we've got a passion for life. We want to learn everything. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to start with 0 skills everywhere, except, I guess Apocalypse Survivor doesn't make sense. Ooh, there we go. Aristocrat. That's what we are. So that's going to give us a... Oh, no, it's going to disable some stuff. We can't do that. Adventuring Child? It can't be anything that turns off any skills. Can we be a chess master? Interesting. What makes the most sense over here? Core dilettante. That's what we are, except no, that can't do anything. Diplomat's child. Nope. Wardening and hunting disabled. We don't want that. A dreamer. That's what we are. Dreamed of leaving his home and exploring new worlds. Excellent. There's 2 versions of it. Expressive child. Sang often. Oh, okay. Ali took the role of man of the house. Well, okay. Sure, whatever. I'm not going to judge. So we'll take that, because dreamer sounds... It's reasonable. It is going to give us a minimum of 3 points in research. Like, randomize some of these things. All right, so we get a minimum of 2 points in social, 1 point in construction, and 3 in research. Apparently, we don't have an adulthood trait, I guess, because we're so young, which is fine. That's okay, because that will just give us more points. So we're pretty close to 0. Maybe there's a version in here that will literally be, like, totally vanilla. No bonuses, but everything is enabled, which is the important part. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Next. Okay, so here's to prepare carefully. Now, one of the things, I did do a little bit of a test, like I said, and there's just not enough material to get started. So what I'm going to go ahead and do... Can I not... Oh, God, really? Okay, I can hold shift to give us 10s. So we're going to do that. Maybe I won't double then, because I'm just going to be kind of annoyed at the clicking. Double just seemed like a good, like, straight-up number. Okay, it won't take that long. So we'll bring this up to 900. And I want to double the components as well. like this. Now, in my testing, one of the things is, right, you start with a pet, but actually a lot of times it gives you like a little terrier. The warg is quite interesting because we could train him to be a like fighter type person. The problem is the animal has to be fed. And I'm not sure if we can manage with the food. What I was doing in my test is actually butchering our pet right away, which seems a little bit cruel, but is, you know, completely viable. I'm tempted to keep the warg around maybe as a pet. So if we're going to do that, let's get kibble, right? What do we think about that? I think that's going to be perfectly fair. IJK. Oh, maybe under food. I didn't realize there's multiple tabs here. Kibble, kibble, kibble. Kibble, kibble, kibble. There we go. So we're going to add that in. And I don't know, 100 units of kibble. There we go. That way we don't have to worry about butchering our warg, which would have been sad. And we can train him to do, like, attack stuff or something like that. He'll probably still die a tragic death. But, you know, that's okay. That's Rimworld for you. Okay, I like it. I don't think I want to make any other changes. So let's go ahead and start with this. It's going to generate the map. Excellent. And we'll have to find our frozen... I think it's called Frozen Sea. Oh, right, we've already picked our biome. Derp, derp, derp. Excellent. So there you go. The neurosimulations, holo games, and free orgies were never enough for you. You wanted more. The grit and consequences of real life, like they talk about in history books. You want to know what real challenge and consequence felt like. Now, after a journey of decades in crypto sleep, you're landing on this unknown Rimworld. Real consequences await you. So we're going to land there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pause. We're going to make an initial save. Ice, ice, baby. 1. There we go. Boop. And we are going to go ahead and rename our character. Now, this is going to be a very long-term character, so well, hopefully it is Rimworld after all, so you never know how things will work out, but hopefully it'll be a name that sounds relatively appropriate. We'll see how it goes. I'm just bringing up the spreadsheet now. Chukka, 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 and randomize. And we get Biowolfus, which I think is an excellent name for our person. Actually, that I think would also be an excellent... Oh, I thought we started with Rooster. I'm like, how did we start with a Rooster? I thought we were starting with a Warg. Our Warg is called Rooster. So I don't know why we still can't rename our pets. There are mods to do that, but I don't have any of those in there. So we have our Warg named Rooster, fine enough. And Biowolfus is going to be the name of our lone survivor over here. So that's great. I'm going to go ahead and unforbid everything. That's one of the mods I have in there. That's a very handy dandy. But as we can see... Oh, you know what? I don't have the fishing mod in. And I don't know if it's save compatible. Like, I don't know if I can add it in after the fact. I think I turned it off because, I don't know, whatever. We could have done fishing. But apparently we're not going to be able to do fishing. It'll be that much harder. Okay, time to set up our initial building over here. So our priorities are going to be to set up just an initial building so we don't freeze to death because the temperature is going to be very cold over here. And what are we wearing? We're wearing a lot of actually a decent kit. It's all going to be synth thread over here, which is good. Our comfortable temperature range is -14 to +32. It's currently -12. It'll get colder than that at night. We are definitely going to need heat. How come there's no sound? I guess it's just kind of on a quiet side. There you go. And it's not always playing music. All right, I think that'll be okay. But getting a research bench set up is going to be super important, such that we can unlock... ooh, this looks a lot messier with the mods I've got. So that we can unlock hydroponics. And that's going to be our priority, because we can't grow on the ground itself. So we need hydroponics, we'll need some power, we'll need that. So we're going to need to figure out sort of what we want our base to look like. Now, I'm going to have to use the wood to construct most of the walls, I think. I would love to have double walls for maximizing heat retention. We will see if that might be manageable. Now, one of the things you can do to save certain material is you can do a surprising amount of stuff with diagonals. Like, this is actually a complete wall that you can't pass through. Now, some people can build these really minimal bases with a lot of diagonality like that. Now, I don't know if, I can necessarily design a successful one with it, and it also looks a little bit silly. So I will go ahead and just build straight walls, but I will cut out the corners to try to save a wee bit of material if we can. So I guess what I should actually do is maybe start by putting down the stuff I need, right? So I absolutely positively need a simple research bench. That is 100% required. We will need some like cooking tables and stuff at some point, but not right now. For Joy, a actual table to eat at might be good, but even that's not necessarily the critical importance. We will have a random wanderer joining us relatively soon, so I think we will actually have to plan bedrooms. Now, in Alpha 16, they did make it so that the micro bedrooms that I was building before technically does lead to a negative moodlet debuff, but it's not a very strong one. So, something like... I guess this keeps going, that's fine. And then you can put doors right here, and that works out okay. So if you have door like that, that will make separate bedrooms for people, which is really good. And then in here, I mean, we are going to need some place to store some of our goodies that could rot otherwise. Although, actually, apparently all you need is a roof over things, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that'll change later on, but it might be okay. Let's assume that we're going to want something to sit on. Dining chair takes a lot of extra material. Is there a difference? Can I, if I click this, comfort 0.5, dining chair 0.7. I don't know how critical one is versus the other. The stool uses a lot less wood, so I guess we're going to use stools here. I'm going to set one up there, and I think we are going to set up a table so that we don't have to eat on the ground. I guess if I do this, the chair can be dual purpose. That sounds fine. And then we can use the rest of the space here for a bit of stockpiling. I think that's a decent start. Something like that. Throw a door in there. That's going to be okay. And a stockpile zone that's in there like that. And... I mean, the food outside would be frozen, which is good. Actually, I guess we don't have to stockpile anything indoors. What I will do is we will use the zoning tool here to make a build roof area. Now, roofs can exist anywhere within 6 tiles of your walls. So if we did something like this, I mean, we could even go wider, but this should all get roofed. So then what we can do is build a stockpile zone under there, and basically say you can put anything you want in that. And that should be okay. Alright, work-wise, everything is turned on. I don't think I have to mess around with the order of things. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that right now. I mean, yeah. We'll just leave that in. And, well, actually, what I'll do... I mean, everything to the left happens first anyway. But let's make sure that we go and... max out the most critical stuff regardless. So we're going to go and tell you to equip this charge rifle. Excellent. And you are going to start doing some constructing for us. Wonderful. So once again, Biowolfus has no skills currently. I mean, a couple of dabbles here and there. The research boost is actually going to be quite helpful. But the passion is what we're looking for. And it'll be very interesting to see Biowolfus sort of expand or develop. That's the word I'm looking for. Over the course of her life, which hopefully will be long. We'll see. But yeah, that's it. That's our little ice sheet over here. Now, I do have one of the mods that I have in does increase the frequency of trade ships, and I actually found it to be quite spammy last time I used it. So we may go and tune that down. I think the frequency in the base game did get improved, but I wanted, because we were going to be quite reliant on trade, I wanted to make sure that the trade ships came pretty frequently here. Otherwise, we are going to starve to death. I just realized we're not going to have enough room for my hydroponics, because this would kind of sort of block the doors. I think we need more space this way. Yeah, it's okay. We'll just expand. We'll build another sort of walled off section or something like that. Might use a little bit more wood than we want. But we actually, because of how I set things up, we actually do have a fair amount of resources, which is great. Now, if I recall correctly, the material of walls doesn't make any difference in temperature retention. It's the double thickness that becomes most important. But we'll see how it goes. All right, let's go to speed 3. So you're going to get that roof going up there, which is going to be perfectly fine. We'll set up a training job over here now. I suspect that we don't actually have the skill to actually train up the warg at this point, which actually is going to be... I don't know, actually. I wonder if we can. Animal handling's higher than construction. No, animal skill's too low. How are we going to get Beowulf's animal skill above the threshold to start training, I wonder? Well, that's a question for another era, another time. Maybe at some point we'll meet some easily trainable animals. Like maybe we'll when we move to a different biome, we'll run into some, I don't know, just wild bunnies, and maybe we can start trying to tame them with that and try to practice. That's a possibility. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we've got our research table down. So what we need to do is we need to queue up a job to research hydroponics. We're going to finish constructing everything first, certainly. And yeah, we will need the double bedrooms. That will be quite important. So you're going to build that, another one over there. I guess we're going to need a heater and electricity very, very, very soon, actually. Yeah, we really are. Because otherwise we're going to freeze to death. Well, 3 degrees indoor. Oh, it's quite a bit warmer out here. Well, I guess it's the summer. It's above freezing, although hopefully the ice sheet itself does not freeze. Otherwise, things are going to get real awkward real soon. Now, you there, I'm assuming you only eat raw meat or corpses. I wonder if you can even eat kibble. I'm really worried that Rooster is just going to starve to death because Rooster can't eat kibble. That would be very, very, very sad. Very sad. Okay, so Beowulf is going to get a bad moodlet here for sleeping, having slept in the cold, certainly, and also slept on the ground. Now, the ugly environment and cramped interior is not going to stick around. That's probably the ugliness of this interior over here. One of the things, when you sleep, your mood doesn't change, so you can abuse having sort of a relatively ugly bedroom. As long as they don't go into there to pray or meditate or anything like that, it'll never bother them. Or it didn't used to, but now there is this awful bedroom trait, which does linger through the day. But it's not much, and hopefully it'll be offset by lots of other things going on here. So I guess we'll get this stuff hauled out for now. That's going to be perfectly fine. Have to get these doors sealed in. The ugliness of the room is partially due to the fact that the steel and everything is ugly. So yeah, I'm going to let... what are you doing? You're just relaxing. I guess that's fine. You got to do that from time to time. Does that give you joy? It does give you joy. Oh, you were nuzzled. Aww. That's nice. That's really sweet. Now, you probably have a bond to the animal, and you do, but because the animal is not obedience trained, it cannot be assigned to you. Yeah, no master or anything like that. So that would be something nice, because that would improve your mood, but unfortunately, we cannot get you to tame Rooster here. Maybe that could have been the one trait we gave you. Maybe I could have gone through the background list and found some sort of, like, animal lover trait. But the Dreamer makes a lot of sense as a backstory. Doesn't do much for us. Well, the +2 research actually will be handy to kickstart things. So I'm still okay with hauling this because it'll save us some movement time later on. I'm okay with this. All right, let's go. So we need power. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a wind turbine. I'm going to give us a little space from our base. So it'll use a little bit more material to build the power conduit, but it'll give us options for expansion and whatnot. So we're going to go there. I don't know if I'm going to pair it with a solar panel. Normally that's what I do for a little bit of extra power. The other thing I'm going to do is build roof here. It'll be covered and dry because then we can put a battery here and have it not get rained on. Not that I'm expecting much in the way of rain. So that's going to get hooked up that way. And then the power conduit, probably just here, will reach everything in the room. We'll give it some light and yes, a heater as well. So we'll get that going on, and hopefully this will be sufficient for the battery to keep working and everything like that. Did you just have a little chat? You were nuzzled again. Aw, Rooster, I love you. I wish we could train you. I'm sorry, I just don't have the skills, buddy. You're a real sweetheart, though. I don't know why we called you Rooster. Sounds like something a very confused child will do. Yeah, see, this is all indoors. Now, I don't know if the temperature leak here is the same as a single wall. I suspect the way it works is that temperature, like indoorness, outdoorness, and hopefully temperature leaking as well, doesn't go diagonally. It just always goes horizontally or vertically, in which case this is the same as a double. And in which case, later on, I suspect that we may not need a full double wall. We might just be able to do sort of like a wall here, then over here, right? So you still end up with this sort of like jagged sort of configuration, possibly. I don't know. All right, so we're getting a little bit of power now. That much is good. We will need a heater in here. And we will need a lamp. Now, one of the mods I do have does reduce the power requirements of lamps because the built-in one seems kind of aggro, especially if you want to put lamps for just prettiness, as opposed to just pure functionality all the time. So we're going to see if that is sufficient power. We may go and throw on a solar panel. We do have enough components to do that, and we'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to research the hydroponics here, and then what we'll do is we'll expand our base a wee bit. Yeah, we'll have to tear down this wall, and we won't get all the material back from it, which is kind of unfortunate, but that I've already made my first mistake. It's upsetting, but there it is. Now, the hydroponics are 1x4, I believe. So I'm actually wondering if I should have made this base a little wider as well, because it would have been slightly convenient if you could fit in the hydroponics things just around the doors. I suppose we can bulge things out a little bit. That'll be okay, because you can work the hydroponics diagonally. Oh, we got our first visitor with a few items to trade as well. Marta. Hello, Marta. Welcome to the party over here. So we'll let Biowolfus get a little bit closer here. Now, I don't have the hospitality mod running, which is actually a bit unfortunate because it would actually give us a good way for us to train Biowolfus social. Although if ever we get a prisoner, it'll train up pretty quickly as well. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of trade here and see if there's any chance that we might be able to get something going on. We could buy medicine, which is tempting. We could also buy another gun, which might be handy when we get a second person. On the other hand, we could just save up for food. Ooh, a military helmet as well, but we can't afford that. Holy crap. Huh. We could develop a drug addiction for our main character as well, get some extra productivity in there, assuming we can get enough drug trade going on. I think I'm going to hold off doing anything like that. It's not like I can medicine myself, and I actually have 40 Glitter World medicine as well. To keep Biowolfus alive, it actually would be nice if we get someone to join our crew that has medicine skill. Because right now, Biowolfus might have a bit of a hard time. If Biowolfus gets any injuries, it would be bad. It'd be nice if we could train up the warg. Now, I'm actually wondering if I shouldn't have started with the higher medical skill, or the higher animal skill. Because one of the things you could do with the warg is train it up so that you can teach it to rescue. So that you could actually haul down people into beds, for example. And that would be quite nice. So have we learned any skills yet? Well, actually, yeah, construction's up to 3 from 0. Was it 0 or 1? We had 1. But up to 3 already. Research is up to 4 from a 2. So that's going quite quickly, which is nice. Power is gaining. I mean, as long as there's any kind of wind whatsoever, that seems to be a win overall. How's your mood coming along? You still have an awful bedroom. You still slept on the ground, which is unfortunate. But I think we'll put up with that. I mean, it could build a bed for a little bit of extra happiness here, but I really do want to make the wood last as long as possible. So we're going to go ahead and just do this. So running on a speed 3, we've got nothing to do right now but to research. Temperature in here is very nice. I don't know if we need to full 21 degrees, although without an airlock situation going on here, especially with the animal going back and forth a lot, we actually are losing a surprising amount of temperature from here. So we will need to make an adjustment at some point, just so that we don't use quite as much power for the heater. Got information about one of our mods. Excellent. That's lovely. And there we go. So there's nothing for us to do but to learn to make food. So at this point, Biowolfus has realized we landed in a very, very bad place. Very unhappy about this area. But we'll do what we can. Just power through. You can do it, Bio. You can actually look at the XP gain over here. Look at that. Just crazy good. I mean, you do tend to gain XP fairly quickly at lower levels, right? Yeah, even without the passion, people will get a few points of research really quickly, but it's going to be that much faster with this. I suppose I could have made Biowolfus maybe too smart. Because I think too smart, you gain like 25% bonus XP to everything. It does make you easier to crack, but if it was paired with Steadfast, that would be okay. Have another little meal. There's something else you can do to optimize their meals. I'm trying to remember. I think there's like, I can't remember. I remember hearing something like, I don't know if the food use is constant or not. People will do something like force them to maybe only ever eat once per day. They might spend a little bit more time with like a hungry debuff, but it makes the food stretch out a little bit. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you get a fixed amount of food for every meal and that it decays at a linear rate constantly. It might just do that. I might be thinking of a different game. There are some games where the amount of nutrition you get from things depends on fullness. Like, people get kind of cranky if they haven't eaten recently, and so they eat, but they don't get the full value of the food. And so you get better. Yeah, you're animal starving. So this guy, oh my god, Rooster. Rooster is going to die because Rooster doesn't eat kibble, and we'll never be able to feed him. I mean, it's corpses and raw meat. That's just never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. 95 wood for a butcher's table. I don't think I can bring myself to butcher Rooster here. God damn it. Get Rooster grave out by, I don't know, by this little piece of water over here. Just in case we need more later on for attacks. Let's go and dig this right away. Oh, this is going to be so sad. This is going to be so sad. Ah, starving to death. What a terrible way to go. All right. Well, we'll be ready for it. Still bonded animal, right? So it'll be bonded animal death. Not at our own hand, but I tried Rooster. I brought kibble. Is this going bad? No, there's no way it's decaying now. It's covered and it's frozen. Should be fine. Because, yeah, I think it only has to be a roof, not actually indoors. There's a few other things like that that are kind of surprising. But I guess it makes sense. It's not exposed to any elements. It's not about temperature. Ah! Okay, so we have another wanderer, Salus over here, who thinks we should give our faction name. So our faction name is going to be... where's my list? Over here. It's going to be the Viral Dragon. Ooh, very good. And this settlement here specifically is going to be called, White Wolf. Technically, it's White Wolf 86, but I'm just going to go with White Wolf. It's quite nice, actually. We've got an animal theme going on. So we've got that. Salus, what do you bring to the party here? You bring fantastic medical skills. Fantastic. Wow. Art, research as well. Very nice. Very, 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 very good. Right now, there's not a whole lot for anyone to do, unfortunately. Although, maybe we get an art... Well, what are you going to art with? Use up a bunch of our raw material? No, that's not going to happen. You're going to be a bit bored for a while. You got a chemical interest, you're a masochist. You can't violent, which is actually interesting with the masochist. The medical skill is very good. We're going to rename you. We're going to rename you to... RX 210. There we go, RX 210. It's kind of an odd name, but it is what it is. So then the question is, where do we assign the jobs? RX actually has a better research skill right now, so we could just have RX do it and make Biowolfus go idle. I think that's fine. I don't suppose you... Well, animal handling is going to be kind of meaningless regardless. Yeah, I'm going to put RX on research duty, and I'll actually take it off of Biowolfus over here. So we don't actually have 2 colonists idle, because RX should do research. But Biowolfus is definitely quite idle. I guess the thing I will do then is I will work on the expansion for the hydroponics. And what I think I'm going to do is stick them right here and get them to stick out a bit. So let's go and plan something more like that. Which means deconstructing this, and hopefully we get lots of material back. Yeah, let's do that. I actually want to move the door, but you can't just move the door. I'm going to go door and door. I don't know if that'll count like an airlock. Actually, I think it will. Oh, you know what? So I can leave the old door in there. That's going to be perfectly fine. There we go. I think that will kind of airlockify. So we'll get some of the materials back. Yeah, we're getting 4 instead of 5. So, unfortunately, a waste as a result of poor planning. I also effed up this side here. Good job, Quill. There we go. This door is going to look funny, but I think it will still work. Minor break risk. RX. Y. Worn out apparel, filling bag, ugly environment. So what's ugly about it? Is it the wood that's on the ground? The wood that's on the ground. Okay. And actually, no flooring either is actually kind of legit. Huh. Now, first of all, I'm going to put a potted plant in here as well. Put it right there. I don't know. Can you grow actual food in these? I don't think so. Now, I don't think you actually need light. Oh, it's just... There we go. Rose or daylily. So we'll put in a daylily. I don't know if it needs sunlight to grow properly or anything like that, or if it will just grow as is. Growth rate is only 29%, so probably because it doesn't have a sun lamp. But this room actually will get a sun lamp. Actually, I don't think the hydroponics need a sun lamp. This poor animal. So sad. But we'll put that in for just a little bit of a beauty boost. Plus 23 actually is not bad at all. Wow. That's really good. We are getting many negatives for the lack of floor. Can we move the research bench? We can't, so we'll never be able to floor the back of it there. I don't know if I want to use the wood for the floor. I think it's too much material. I think the 15... Well, how much material do you actually need for a floor? Is an excellent question. 3 per. Yeah, I think that would be probably too much. Notice that we do have the ability to put down... Well, I can't actually till the soil. There will be something I can get later on, I think, that will let me plop down some dirt. But we're not going to use that here in the northern climates because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Well, we'll have to make some decisions. I don't think I'll be flooring it. I think we will just work our way up to the hydroponics. And yeah, for now, Biowolfus is going to be quite idle. There's going to be a lot of idleness for a long time. We have 2 mouths to feed now, which isn't great. And we've actually, I'm not even sure that the 2 hydroponics is going to be sufficient to get that going. Now, one of the things that is going to be important is choosing which plant to grow, because different plants have different boosts from fertility. Hydroponic pods are very, very, very fertile. So you want to choose whatever it is that gets the biggest boost. And I think that's rice. We'll have to see how it goes. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and this first episode of a series. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I don't know how this is going to work out. We'll cross our fingers that we can make it go. I probably should have just made this bigger. I keep making things super small to not use material, but then we have to expand it and we waste material. I probably should have just made it like this big. Room for lots of hydroponics. Well, are we even going to have the material or the power for that? That's actually going to be a good question. We'll find out next time. Bye-bye.